There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Intuitive Insights and Tarot. Once again, Honey's joining me. Hi, Honey. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm in my new office. You get to
Oh,
see it
it's
first.
so cool looking. I love that rustic background. Is So tell us where you're at.
So I'm outside, like in the trailer. So, because we have a pretty small house. So basically, my husband is about ready to leave his business and retire from it. So I'm like, I need to have some kind of place where I can do my work. So
Well,
here I
I love
am.
it. Before I decided to come and be a teacher in Thailand, another option I had, I was going to buy a trailer or a camper van and like do the van life in America, and that's what it reminds me of. What kind of trailer is it? Is it like a
It's a 1966 Roadrunner.
oh wow. And
Yeah,
it does have does it is it mobile or do you have to tow it?
you have to tow it. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no bathroom, so it will remain an office. I'm like,
All
I
right.
can't believe they didn't put a bathroom in here. uh, yeah.
So I called this show Lessons from Tolkien and yeah, Lessons from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Because I feel like there's so much information, there's so much in there that's helped me. And I'm I'm in the middle of my eighth reading, pretty much, of the Lord of the Rings. um, about a year and a half ago, during the lockdowns, a friend of mine started reading it, and then that inspired me to read it for the seventh time. Because I it's fun when you're reading something at the same time as somebody else, and it was his first time reading it.
Hmm.
By the way, if you've only ever seen the films and you've never read the book, you're really missing out. In fact, I'm one of those people where I'm actually not happy about the films. Like, for example, what we're going to talk about today is Tom Bombadil wasn't even in the movies.
Yeah.
Um,
There
but
was a lot of stuff that wasn't in the movies.
yeah, and also for those of us who know the story really well, like doesn't make sense, Like, anyways, I don't want to get into all those things. Like, okay, so on the seventh reading, when I got to the part of Tom Bombadil, now this was during the lockdown, and I was just starting to recover from not having worked for a year and a half, and I
Hmm.
was becoming very comfortable, and I was starting to feel like my home was becoming this bubble of safety and sanity in this chaotic, crazy world that we live in. And when we got to the chapter of Tom Bombadil, I felt like, oh, this is where I am in the story now. Like when I was a little kid and the first time I read the story, of course, I related to Frodo, the hero of the story. And then maybe in later readings when I was a little bit older, I was more drawn to like Aragorn, the the knight in shining armor archetype. But now I'm in a point in my life where I'm this supporting role because Tom Bombadil, like he wasn't in the movie because his part wasn't really that important. He was like in the background, and that's kind of like where I like to be in my place. I'm not, you know, yes, I'm on YouTube here, but I'm not like one of the big names or anything. So what what occurred to me is that all of us can be this Tom Bombadil kind of character, where we create this bubble of I don't know reality, where it's our reality, and it's a safe
Hmm.
place. And from here, we can help others who are maybe haven't gotten there yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause and let you make a comment
Okay.
anyway, gather my thoughts.
So I feel like they are the architects. So I feel like Tolkien knew how everything worked. And he was basically showing you that this person was manifesting their own life. They were creating their own bubble and they were also affecting others. And to me, he and his wife, who I can't remember the name of,
Goldberry.
yeah, Goldenberry, they remind me of Adam and Eve. They remind me of Jesus and Mary. Like he was pulling that archetype into the story. And I think that, now that we know like what the soul groups are and how kind of the universe came to be, we realize that maybe he was an architect and she was an architect. Because the first thing that popped into my head is Mother Nature and Father Time.
That's right.
So they're basically like the first architects that came out of God source.
Well, honey, that's very intuitive of you because I was digging into my research on it. By the way, I put some links in the description if you'd like to learn more uh, about this. Um, so nobody's quite sure where he came from or what he was, but some people think that he was one of the Ainur. And the Ainur in the world of Lord of the Rings, they were the creators. Well, there's one source creator. His name's Iluvatar, and then Iluvatar created the Ainur, and the Ainur are these creator beings who, through music, honey, singing
Mhm.
and music, created the universe. And Tom Bombadil in the story, he's always singing. He has a love of music and song and dance. And so that's one of the theories. So it's great how you picked up on that. Um, and
Well,
there.
go ahead.
Well, I just want to say how Tom Bombadil wasn't affected by the events that were going on, like the ring, the One Ring. He was able to put it on and not vanish. In fact, he could make the ring disappear, much to Frodo's dismay. And then when Frodo used the ring, he could see right through it. So, so the powers of the Dark Lord had no power over him.
Mhm.
See, that's another thing I want people to get from this. If you when you embody this archetype, there's there's no evil powers that can affect you. Um, I'm concerned when I get clients and people say that they've had curses and things and put on them. There's a certain amount of you have to agree to that. You know what I mean?
You do, or one of your ancestors did.
Hmm.
So,
So it's this. I've always kind of felt this way, and you were talking to a guest recently that it just
mhm.
resonated with so well. Alyssa, is that right?
Elisa, yeah.
Elisa,
Mhm.
and she said several things that I've been trying to get out to people for a while, and one of them is that you are so me as Tom Bombadil, and Tom Bombadil, as we agree, he's a creator. He created that world. That's why not, nothing has any power over him. Each one of us, our creator of our world, and
Mhm.
everybody else is just living in it. And that sounds like a very like narcissistic almost thing to say, right?
No, but you're creating your own experience.
Hmm.
So it really isn't because you're the point of view that is going back, that point of view is going right back to the oneness, right back to God source. So that's where the information is coming from. And if you're trying to live through somebody else, then it's all like distorted.
Yeah, and that's why Tom Bombadil was called the oldest and the fatherless of the place. Like, and so all of us, you're right, all of us are connected all the way back through our higher selves to the one source, to the the source of all creation. And I think
Yeah.
we need to really embrace that and really, and when you start to really see yourself as the creator of your own universe in the center of your own universe, then the universe starts speaking to you very directly. And you'll find these, that's when synchronicities start to appear more, and you start realizing that you are very important to your story in this reality. I don't know
Right.
if that came out properly.
Well, and everything is built from frequency and light, because light is also a frequency. So sound and light. So that's how the whole universe was created, was sound and light.
So you just reminded me of something that I came across in one of the shorts, and it was about how the pineal gland, let me see if I can get this correctly. There is no light outside of ourselves. Light is an illusion, and all the light is created within our pineal gland and then projected out. I'm sorry, I'm going to ruin this if I try to explain it. But if you um, go to my Telegram channel and look for that YouTube video I posted there, that'll explain it. But I want to just uh, end this part of the conversation by reading a comment that was on one of the videos that I posted about this from someone named Alex S. 2599. I want to give him the credit for this, even though he'll probably never see this. And he says, Tom Bombadil was a comforting being in a world that had grown cold and chaotic, a kind-hearted, benevolent spirit of nature in his little corner of Arda. And anybody who, and now this, that's what, and I thought that summed it up very well. And then anybody who came into his little corner, he was able to befriend them and give them respite and protection and safety from that chaotic storm. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get to those of you out there who feel like you're in this place. When you feel like you've gotten to this place where you've created this bubble, and then you meet others who are still in this, they're out in this like chaotic sea of troubles. Try to show them your calmness, your knowing that we are on this path of ascension. By the way, that was the other thing that Elisa said that I want to emphasize. It's not faith or belief for me anymore. It's a knowing. And a lot of people who come to me looking for a reading or just looking for answers, they don't have that same level of knowing, or they don't have that knowing. And so, I just like you to find your way of really knowing. Now, I don't know how else to explain that. So, honey, I'll let you sum it up.
I think it depends on the person, and really kind of just saying, I feel fine. I feel like everything's going to work out, and just telling the truth. And then also saying, would you like me to hold space for you that you can start to feel fine? Or do you feel like there's a reason that you don't feel fine? Because a lot of it is the mind. So people are like creating scenarios in their head, and it's like they're on some kind of wheel, you know? They're like caught like a rat in a wheel. And because their mind won't stop. And they keep thinking about, oh, what's going to happen? They keep thinking about the things that are going to happen. and they totally miss the joy in their own life, and they're caught up in the fear, and all of this is program. It's the program that we've been fed throughout our lifetime, but we're not doing that anymore. So have you taken the time to look inside and started to let go and unwind the programs? That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think it's an important fact to point out, like you said, that this is uh, the personification of nature, right?
Mhm.
And I I'm not able to get out into the forest and things like I did when I was younger here. But I really spent so much time in with nature that it became a part of me. I remember thinking, well, I may not be able to hike on trails anymore like I did, but I there's a part of that part of my life that's inside of me that now has become a part of me. And when I go outside here, okay, I don't have I'm in a city. I'm not really in a city. I'm in the suburbs and I don't have like a pastoral park to go to. But I have my bamboo stand. I have there's probably 100 stalks of bamboo. And I've talked about this before. I have that bamboo colony talks to me. There's a whole history I have with it. I rescued it and things like that. And now it gives me shade. And but that symbolically represents my forest.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then I have other plants in my garden, and also living in the tropics, we do have a lot of critters around here. We got tons of animals and insects and things running around, birds. And so I do have my own little forest, so to speak, here
Yeah.
around my house. So so it's really important that you, even if it's just like that, even if you have just a plant in your house that you can focus on and become a part of nature.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, I opened myself up to the plants today. That's the story. And I was like, all this noise came in. And I will admit, I'm not the best plant person.
mhm.
Like, my plants definitely probably could use watered more often and replanted more often. And I just all of a sudden it came in. I'm like, no, I can't handle it. I turned it off. I can't hear it.
Yeah, that's it's really bad news for vegans when they find out that plants have feelings too.
Yes, I'm sure. When I went vegan for a while, and my mother said, "You know, carrots scream when you pull them." I'm like,
I I
"Shut up!"
tell I tell I tell people that story from you all the time, and
Oh, so
yeah,
funny.
because I remember it. Yeah, and I there was a there was a program on In Search Of from the 70s with Leonard Nimoy. I because that's in public domain now. I like to show some of those episodes on my YouTube channel, and that was one of them. And I remember that so clearly. I learned that when I was 11, 12 years old that plants have feelings. They did this really cool experiment where they hook up like it's like the same thing you use on a polygraph, picks up
Mhm.
piezoelectric charges and stuff,
Yeah.
and they hooked one up to a plant. They had a guy come in, put a lighter to the plant, so burn the plant, and the plant reacted. All this, this electromagnetic um, wire started going crazy.
Mhm.
Then he left the room, and it calmed down. The plant calmed down, and then when the man walked back into the room, before without doing anything, the plant reacted just to the presence of the man. So,
Wow.
all right, honey. Well, I don't think I have anything else to say, but maybe if I could do this, if I could encourage people out there, and I know this is a nerdy, geeky thing to be into fantasy books, but there's something special about the Lord of the Rings. And if you have it in your heart to read those books, I think learn things and you'll find comfort. And I hope you find the type of enjoyment from them and peace that I get when I read those books. Because, it taught me at a very young age that, and I always knew something I always knew intuitively, that we were in a battle against the forces of evil.
Mhm.
And actually it was Lord of the Rings that put me on the path of the white hats before anything, before religion. And, and the reason was because, like, when I was about 17, I recognized that I had an ability with let's say magic, okay? And I'd read some books about people who were using magic. And but it was like I knew you had to dabble in black magic in order to really get the powers, right? And
Mm.
I thought about it. I was about 17. I thought, you know, if I were to get into black magic, I could become very powerful. And then I thought about the Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, no, the bad guys lose. And I want to be on the winning side. So my honestly, my choice for choosing to be a good guy when I was very young is because I wanted to be on the winning side, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome.
so it wasn't really altruistic. It was a self-centered reason why I became a worker of good. So, anyways, we'll leave it at that. And let me take a and so we're gonna take viewers' questions now. Let me open my chat.
Yeah. So there's one in there. I do want to say one more thing about the Lord of the Rings, though.
Hmm.
So the Lord of the Rings, when I tuned into that, it came in as the history of Inner Earth. So they went through their own ascension process. And he was channeling all that information. I mean, that's a real language, I think.
Oh yeah,
The Elven language is a real language.
yeah,
So it it just is very inspiring,
yeah.
honestly. And most people relate to Frodo, and I totally was relating to Frodo, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get on YouTube and I'm going to help, and
Right,
like
right.
that's and the ring is like unity in the wrong way,
Hmm.
because that unity was to control everybody. And
That's
I
right.
think a lot of things have happened in the past where we've had to evolve out of that. And humanity is kind of the last group right now. So we're the focus of this ascension because third and fourth density will no longer exist when we're done. So very cool stuff.
Okay, so usually we start taking questions at 30 minutes mark. We got about 5 more minutes, and you just made me think of something else about Lord of the
Okay.
Rings I wanted to mention. Um, I only learned recently that in Middle Earth history, before there were men created, or the world was flat. The world of Middle Earth was flat, and there was, I can't remember the name of it. There was this one, Valinor was the continent where the elves and the angels, the ascended beings lived.
Mhm.
The Vala and the Maya and the Ainur and the elves. And the men had their own little island. It's called Numenor.
Right.
And they were told, hey, you guys can stay there. The creator created the men and gave them this place. He said, but you cannot go to Valinor. That's for the ascended beings. That's not for you. And the men got jealous and they got some ships and they decided to try to sail over there, and it caused a big kerfuffle in the land. So Iluvatar took the flat earth and he created a sphere, and he separated the art Arda, which is the earth, the round earth, from Valinor. by putting it on another dimension. So and those two exist at the same time. And this is something that we've been trying to explain. It's so amazing when I first saw uh, Tarot by Janine get the question about the flat earth. She said, well, it's flat and round at the same time, depending on who's looking at it, or, depending on how you look at it. And
Yep.
that's what I'd been feeling for a long time. Anyways, I'm just going to leave it at that. That it's so amazing that Tolkien had seen that part of it too.
Mhm. I honestly think most books are channeled. If they're really good and they're meant to come out into the world, and I think this is an architect thing, they're channeled so that people can get inspired. There's been a lot of important works that inspired people, and that's one that really opens up people's minds. Yeah.
Well, when I was younger, and I always wanted to be a writer despite my dyslexia. Um, I've never written anything except for I was in a very difficult place of angst in my early 20s, and I began to write poetry. And I can tell you that I didn't feel like I was the author of any of the poems that I wrote. By the way, I got published, and I used to put my poems in this coffee house, and they became really popular locally. And I had people tell me that my poems affected them in a way that changed their life. And you're right. I didn't feel like those were mine. I felt like they existed in the ether, and then they came through me. I discovered them. So in my um, brief experience with writing, I can tell you that as a writer, I felt that those already existed somewhere, and I just brought them out into reality. Okay, so June Herbert, thank you very much for the beautiful super sticker, 9.99. I'm I'm trying to raise enough money today, honey, for a vacuum cleaner.
Ooh, okay.
Because it's funny, people don't have vacuum cleaners in Thailand. Like the only place you see vacuum cleaners are like in hotels or something. But
Really?
I have hardwood floors that are not good for when you have a young dog who wants to play, right? So I went out, I bought this carpet really cheap, um, and I put that down. But now with the dog running in and out, the carpet's getting dirty. And not only that, I have two cats, two dogs, so of course I need a vacuum cleaner. So I'm
Uh-huh.
hoping today to raise enough money for a vacuum cleaner, and that's $50. So June, thank you very much. And honey, are you reading the chat? Does anybody have any questions for us? I've got my cards shuffled, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so June asked a question about the cat. What can you tell me about the cat that showed up at my mother's?
Uh-huh.
It comes in that it's a relative. So somebody that passed away that's in your family is inside that cat right now.
That's cool.
Um, so just love it up. It's very excited to be there. Even if the cat, like, because animals have an inner child too. So,
Just do the
uh,
sun card on that, which is rebirth, by the way, which is reincarnation, and this exuberant joy. So go ahead, honey.
yeah. So just take good care of it. Have fun with it. It's one of your relatives. So
Okay, so
that's awesome.
I drew three cards on this, and first I got the sun, which was definitely confirming what you just said. But this is really funny. And the fool is new beginnings, and even though that's a dog there, it's still that's a spirit animal who's come back. But
Mhm.
this is this cat's ninth life. He's used up eight. So I mean, as soon as I saw this, that's what I don't know why we have this legend of cats having nine lives, but that's what came into my mind is that um, this cat's used his last and final life to
To
incarnate
be your relative.
with yeah. So that's really cool.
That is
Okay.
cool.
Yeah,
So
thank you for the
Betty had a question. When I was young, I woke up on the floor confused. Oh, sorry. Were you still? No. Okay.
no.
She was spinning in a tunnel with a bright light. I was told to get back up to the table and shut up, but was very confused what happened. So her parents obviously were not very sympathetic. Um, I feel like either your soul had like taken off somewhere and came back very suddenly, or you had a walk in possibly. So, what are your, think about how much memory do you have before that moment? Something big, some big soul showed up for you.
I'm not sure how much more the cards can help. Oh. Mhm.
Oh, so June wants one of those devices. It's called a plant wave.
What's that?
So you hook it to the plant. It's called a plant wave. You hook it to the plant, to the leaf, and then it plays music.
Uh-huh. I just
Yeah.
saw a video on that the other day too.
Yeah, those are awesome.
So those you can actually like buy those pre-made. I mean, you don't have to make
Yeah.
one yourself.
Yep. It's called plant wave.
So I'm looking at these cards. I just drew three cards for Betty on this,
Oh, good.
and it's really interesting. I'm trying to figure it out, and I wasn't paying attention to exactly what you said. Could you re repeat a little bit of what you said
Oh,
about?
so either her soul took off, like had some emergency and then came back very suddenly, or
Oh,
she
okay.
had a walk in. So it
So
was one or the other.
it's
Yeah.
the first. It's I can tell you that my card's saying it's the first one. All right,
Okay.
because the first card I drew, which goes at the top, is Death, and then the Chariot. So her soul went off, like you said. The Chariot is a transporter, and then quickly came back. So it's that one. So that's cool. I was
Yeah.
able to help. I got goosebumps.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it was very intense. It sounds very intense. So, Rhonda said thank you. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if she had a question. I didn't see one. Susanna, can you please tell me about the stray cat that recently came to live with me?
Another
Thank
one?
you. Yeah, it's another cat. So cats are showing up. Feels very happy, really happy to be there with you. It reminds me of an orange stripy cat. You know how they're really clingy and they just love you so much, especially the orange ones. It feels like that. He's also your protector, like he's helping you with energy. Yeah.
Uh, I got this. He's really looking for a family. He's like an orphan cat, and he's really looking for a
Mhm.
family. And I don't know. She didn't say that she's taken it in and made it a part of the family. But if this cat evidently has had a really hard time of it and deserves and needs some kindness and benevolence from you. So, and I believe that you would get a great reward of karmic payback if you were to take this cat in and love it and make it part of your family. So I hope you can do that. Oh,
Mhm.
Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Okay. How many angelics are incarnated on Earth? So they jump in and out sometimes of the body. I get around 100,000 are incarnated and mostly staying. And then there was another part of that question. You have one angelic in your family. Feels like a younger person. So one of the younger people in your family is an angelic.
So I'm not sure if you remember this or not, but Lucy last week she asked us about this, and you told her she's an angelic too,
Oh,
and I had drawn these cards, so I think actually she's the one that you're picking up on, and
yeah.
I wish
She
I
may be that
Lucy, I wish I
there's
could
somebody.
remember last
Yeah, I'm sure
time.
that she is an angelic, but I was thinking about her family. I wasn't really thinking about
Okay,
her. Um, and there's one other one then besides
okay,
her, but they feel young. And she was probably the gateway for them to come in
okay.
too, since
Oh,
she's
God, well, yeah,
asking.
she's at you are. I didn't read the question properly. She's asking about her family, Angelics. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, she's an angelic too. I just tapped into that again. She definitely is.
Yeah, I wish I could remember that time I pulled cards for her that I had pulled for her in a private reading that was just reiterating just how and by the way, I think it's okay if I say that she's a nurse. So she's actually a healing, she's got that healing energy too.
Mhm.
So yeah, she's a very special person, I think. All right, so let me see.
Okay. So that's beautiful. Um, Betty says, is there a way to cut family ties
I'm
for the
reading.
next life? Absolutely. Go in and just say, no, I don't want that. Tell your angels, tell the universe, whatever. Sam, I'm done with that. I'm done with them. I want a new family next time.
A new family or no family.
Yeah, whatever works, really. But you don't want to reincarnate with the same people. And you
You
can
know,
say that. I mean, you get to make your choices.
I love my family, of course, you know, but I just never felt like I was one of them. This is going back to that Tom Bombadil thing, where
Mhm.
I always felt completely separate and like, I don't know, not a part of them. So, let me see.
Okay.
Miss Sovereignty has a question in the chat. Let's find that.
Oh, it must be way back there.
Hmm. Miss Sovereignty. I don't see your question, Miss Sovereignty.
Can you pop it in again in the chat for us? Okay, so while she's doing that,
Mhm.
June sent you another $10 and she says, can you tell me about the homeless man I encountered? And then she said, get the vacuum. Um,
Yeah, I've reached my goal, so thanks everybody for that.
so the homeless man, he feels like he was an angelic jumping in, and not just he was a big one. So that feels almost like an archangel coming in. So I hope you had a good experience. It also feels very intense.
Hmm.
Yep. Let's see if Miss Sovereignty wrote anything. Yeah.
I drew cards on that, but honestly, I'm not sure what to make of them. I'm wondering if that wasn't an opportunity. Sometimes when we're given encounters like that, we're given a chance to correct
Mm.
some karmic, you know, part of your life from maybe a past life or your life. And she doesn't say that she helped him, right? Gave him money or anything. But I
No, I
think,
would think about what he said though.
oh, what did he say?
No, but I mean, I would think about it. I think she
Oh,
should write it down and like
did she
ask her
say,
what it,
did he say something?
I don't know. Maybe she can tell us in the chat. But I feel like what he said was important.
Okay.
And I found Miss Sovereignty's question.
Oh, great.
So let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and read it. I'll
So
listen.
I was out to lunch with my son on April 1st, felt really hot and flushed. Everything was super bright with colors yellow, green, black, gray, and white. Lasted 15 minutes. What happened?
Wow.
You got an upgrade, and I feel like the ETs amplified it. So it's almost like the light was turned on inside of you. And it also feels like your DNA, some of it was more activated. Very cool.
Hmm.
Oh, Heather's got some interesting questions.
Hello, Heather. Thank you for the super chat.
Mhm.
I'd like to read this one.
Go for it.
Are the chemtrails sprayed on Long Island, New York harmful? And is the sun simulator being used to stop a pole shift? So the first one, chemtrails. And by the way, let me just say that almost never see chemtrails here in Thailand. I don't know why that is. Um, But in the 20 years I've been here, when I left Florida, I remember blue skies and I never saw chemtrails. Then about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I started seeing friends posting, look at the sky, look, what is this? I've never seen that here. Especially the really dense ones where it's like crisscrossed and everything. I have a theory behind that, but I just wanted to point that out. So, what do you think, honey, about these chemtrails over Long Island?
I didn't know that they're harmful. They're hiding something. That's their purpose. And I mean, they might not be great for the human body, but they're not anywhere like they were. So they're not harmful. Um, and then the pole shift, that already happened, you guys. So, and also the sun, we're just seeing it for what it is. So, you know how people are taking pictures of it and now it looks like a honeycomb? We're starting to see the reality. We're starting to see the matrix.
Okay, so this is weird. I told you a while back that I was seeing checkerboards in the sky, right? And they were square. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm really seeing it, if it's my imagination or if it's something I'm not sure what it is. But
I've seen it.
recently it's not checkerboard anymore, it's honeycombed.
Yeah.
So now I'm seeing hexagons and
Mhm.
not squares. And I
Yep.
try to take pictures of it, but I don't get it won't show up in my camera. I did just playing around the other day. I took a picture because we have these completely clear skies. It's almost bizarre. There's no clouds. So I pointed right at the sun. I took a picture, and then I started playing around with the levels, and it looks like concentric rings, like a fingerprint. It looks like a fingerprint. And that's really there. So I'm wondering what that. So I can't see that grid with my camera, but I see these. It looks like a fingerprint. That's what it
Yeah.
looks like. Like if we're in a globe and there was some giant outside, and he stuck his thumb on the glass and left a fingerprint there. I don't know.
So all energy moves in spirals. A great show to watch if you want to think about the matrix and also get a like a clearer picture of the honeycomb thing. And there's a reason that they're honeycombs the way they do, but it's called The Man Who Fell to Earth, and it's the new version, not the like 1960s version. It's the newer version. So I feel like it's a little better because the special effects are better.
Who's the star in that?
I can't remember his name. He's an African fellow, and he's probably like, I feel like his name starts with a K or something, but it's very hard to pronounce.
I'm not sure I've seen that one. Yeah. Uh, Granny Two Rottens. I think that means two rotten grandchildren.
Oh,
Um, what are the causes of her super itchy skin? It's like hives. And I'm not gonna, I have a hard time getting stuff like that on cards, so I'm gonna let you handle that if you can, honey.
yeah, it's a like you need more hydration. You're also allergic to something. Yes,
Yeah.
you're allergic to something too.
This could
So
help.
yeah.
So this is ASEA, redox could help. I've put that anytime I have any topical issues, even like sore joints and tendons, it helps me. So
Try
check out.
working with your hydration, having enough sea salt, and kind of hydrating your whole body. And then nettle is really good for histamine because you're having like a histamine reaction from a leaky gut, it feels like.
Okay, great. And honey's not a doctor and she's not giving
Right.
medical
Not
advice.
a doctor.
Um,
Thank you.
gotta say it, honey.
Gotta say it. Gotta do the disclaimer.
It's right. In fact,
Yes.
everything I do here is for entertainment purposes only. So I hope you're all entertained today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are things
Okay.
we just have to say. Oh, Miss Sovereignty, thank you. My pendulum said activation. Nice. I like that. So I felt it was an
Mm-hmm.
upgrade or something spiritual. By the way, I did draw a card on that. I got the Ace of Cups. So
Oh, awesome.
it was that's definitely that's a symbol of conception. So something was birthed inside of you, an idea or an inspiration was being birthed inside of you.
Okay, so he said, so this is from June, and this
Uh-huh.
has to do with the homeless guy.
Uh-huh.
Um, he said, thank you for seeing me and coming over.
Mm.
And his eyes were bright blue. So, yeah, I think that was an angelic for sure. So, seeing him as well is important because some part of you recognized that he was important for you to be in the presence of. So I think he probably gave you some sort of activation while you were there.
So when I drew cards on this, I got the Ten of Pentacles. And don't be surprised, June, if you're not rewarded in it some way in a in with physical wealth of some sort. Okay, because of that, at some time in the near future. So if you suddenly get a big bonus at work or finds a bunch of money, that's what it came from. His name was Randy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and Granny Too
Oh,
Rotten says
not
that's
her
her
grandkids.
dog.
Okay. Rottweilers. Oh,
Yeah.
it's her Rotties. Rottweilers. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck with that, June. Since we're talking about dogs real quick, well, she mentioned her Rotties. Um, honey, I've got a question for you.
Huh?
What's come what's come over my poodle recently? Let me give you a little background real quick. Um, about 4 years ago, at that time I had my poodle Oreo and my Shih Tzu Andy, and these two grew up together and they were inseparable. They were best friends. In fact, I played second to them. They had their own thing going on. And then 4 years ago, Andy tragically died of kidney failure, and it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life. Oreo cried tears, real tears, and then she went into a deep depression that she's been in up until like a couple of days ago, because it used to be Andy and Oreo would eat, and then they had playtime after they ate. They would play really rambunctiously for 15 or 20 minutes. And of course, when her mate died, she just lethargic. Well, I noticed for
Hmm.
the first time after dinner the other day. Oh, and Oreo's blind now too. And so about 10 months ago, I got Sandy, and I was worried that it was going to upset. Or anyways, to get to the point, Oreo just seemed to come out of her depression and start playing with Sandy, and I mean, you don't really have to comment on it, but I just wanted to say how happy it made me to see that dog come out of that depression.
I think she may have had a walk in.
Oh yeah, yeah. It seemed like
Yeah.
she changed over really quickly. And like even
Hmm.
right now, normally she would be in her kennel on her side of the room and she would never come out. Right now, she's here with me and she's playing by herself, wrapping herself in a blanket. So yeah, she's acting differently just in the past couple of days. So thank you for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and Bolts. What is going on with my friend getting pulled over by police and roughed up and going to ER for saying he is sovereign 2 times in a year? That's a little confusing. What is the cause? So I'm thinking, was he telling police, "Hey, I'm sovereign," and he did that twice, or was he just making an announcement like on Facebook? I'm not sure about that. But honey, what can you get other than police are tyrants? And by the way, follow Long Island Audit on YouTube if you like seeing police being held to account for their tyranny.
Hmm. Um, to me, it feels like a karmic thing, and it has to do with a shadow that he's not allowing to go home. So he's actually subconsciously not believing that he's totally sovereign. So his energy when he confronts them isn't the best. Like they feel confrontational towards him when they come in contact with him. So he's not doing it in the right way.
It's a good point, honey. When you're sovereign, you don't have to tell anybody you're sovereign. A king doesn't go around saying, "I'm the king."
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe try just uh, acting, and portraying sovereignty rather than telling people you're sovereign.
Well, and also like if they're trying to give him a ticket, if he's speeding or whatever, um, get all their information, maybe be willing to go to court and say, I'm a live being and I don't accept any of this, instead of confronting the officers. Maybe he's not in a great area for it, but to me, it's some kind of karmic problem going on.
Thank you for that, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. She says he was telling police when he got pulled over. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you're pulled over for like I don't know, something's wrong with your blinker or whatever, that's one thing. But if the police think you're endangering others and they have that in their head, it's going to be a problem. So I just feel like it's something that he needs to work out with himself, really. Because when you put out certain energy, you get it back.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be conscious, it can be subconscious.
So how do you, if it's subconscious and you're not aware of it, how do you confront it?
Well, you ask, so like that would be considered a trigger, that it didn't work out. So then you ask, what is it inside of me that is getting this reflection? Because every life is a mirror. We set it up for ourselves. Why did I set myself up to have this issue? What is it inside of me that doesn't believe that I'm actually sovereign?
That was one of the great things that I found about living here in Thailand. When I was in America, I was getting tickets all the time, and it just seemed like I was being targeted. And when I left America, I think I had like 3 points left, and I was going to lose my license. Not to mention, like however many thousands of dollars I had to spend.
Mhm.
But in Thailand, you never get pulled over. I mean, only like in Bangkok, it's a little bit more like it is in America, but outside, it's like police don't pull people over. They do have these checkpoints where they check that you're wearing a helmet and a license, but you don't even have to stop for them. Like I've actually just blown through them before. So there's this sense of peace that I have that when I see a policeman on the street or riding his motorcycle or car, I don't get that anxiety that I would get every time I was in America and I'd see a cop coming in behind me. And I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So, oh,
Oh,
oh, Lucy, the three super chats. Thank you. I got this little note that says, let's celebrate their super chat on. Anyway, sorry. Thank you, Lucy.
mhm.
I'd like to read this. Okay. Lucy says, lately when I'm watching TV in my room, I notice that I squint. I see faint white lines as if I'm looking through very loose, fine gauze. What am I seeing? Is it just my imagination? That sounds kind of like what's happening to me when I look at the sky.
Yeah. I think your mind is realizing that it's not real. So you're seeing what lies underneath it.
So she's mentioning it's like gauze, which is like a fabric. So it's almost like she's seeing the fabric of reality.
Yeah.
Uh, and just
Okay. So I can't read the whole thing, but I feel like it is or could leak into my life. So I think this is the traffic guy. Keeps
okay.
coming to me too to take care of him. Yeah, it is karma for you. Also, not necessarily karma, it's a lesson. So, what is the lesson there? If he's sovereign, then he doesn't need anybody to take care of him either.
Yeah, good point.
So, he's not living like he's sovereign. He doesn't believe he's sovereign. So,
And
and your lesson
take it
is
one
you're
step,
not, yeah,
take it
go
one
ahead.
step further, honey. Like just like Elisa said the other day, it's not believing, it's knowing.
Mhm.
I try really hard not to use that word anymore, believe. I mean, unless I'm talking about like, I don't know, some unknown, undiscovered thing like the land beyond the ice wall. I
Right.
haven't been there. I can't prove it. I believe that's something I have faith in. I believe in it. But my sovereignty and the fact that I am the author of my own story and I'm the hero of my own story, that's a knowledge, something I know, and that there's going to be a happy ending to this, that this we're in this war and it's going to end and we're all going to ascend. That's a knowing. Anyways,
Yep. And we're not
words are
here to
important.
baby anybody.
Words are important. When we say when we say I believe something, we're saying I'm not sure. I have faith. There's not a surety there. So I just want to emphasize that again.
Sure.
Somebody got mad at me one time in a big group chat. It was supposed to be a bunch of enlightened people, and somebody said that. In fact, you know who I'm talking about here, but I'm not going to name any names. And man, they got really angry at me, and like they thought that I was trying to like I don't know, be like some type of I was correcting them or something. No,
Oh,
this is something that we there was a anyway.
get it. Okay. So I don't see any more questions really.
Okay, Betty's looking for the super chat button, and you'll see it down in the chat. If you're on your phone, there's a little dollar sign thing there, and you tap on
Yeah.
that. And yeah, we'll give Betty a chance to see if she wants to put a question in the super chat, and if not, then we can go ahead and wrap this up, honey. It's I need to get out before it gets too hot and like do some chores around the house.
Sure. So
So
Kathy wants to know, do I travel at night? You're in the astral plane at night. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the astral plane. And I can talk to you guys about that for a second while Betty gets that done. So over the last 3 to 4 days, we've been working on relationships. And then after we did relationships, then we went into magic. So it really is important. Like all the souls were like, we can't allow black magic to come through Ascension. So the only kind of magic that we're going to be having is energy magic, but the intention of the magic is very important because energy and magic are the same thing. So if you're an energy worker, you're practicing a magical thing.
mhm.
And there was dispute about like what do we do about the old nasty stuff that was created in the past, and a lot of it was disintegrated, and it's not going to be used anymore. So everybody had to agree to that. Now think about like the astral plane, millions of beings together needing to agree, yeah, we will not do that anymore. So we really are here, like this is our board game, and we practice and discuss in the astral plane. Okay, Betty couldn't figure it out. She's going to do it next week, she said.
Okay. But Betty, go ahead and ask your question though. You don't have to put it in the form
Yeah.
of a super chat. I mean, if you just wanted to make a donation, that's fine. But Betty, if you had a question, another question, like I said,
Yeah, go ahead and ask it. Somebody
you
asked
don't
me
have
this.
to pay here, but it helps. By the way, the person who asked if they were traveling, I got some great cards for you. So absolutely. This is the wheel and the wheel in the sky. This is traveling. And I'm not sure. Honey, I'm not sure if you gave her a direct answer to her traveling.
I just said she's up in the astral plane.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, and she's traveling to where she's a sovereign being in that state, and she's actively battling the the dark forces in those
Mhm.
travels. Okay.
Yeah,
All
very
right.
cool.
So let me check the chat, see if we have any final questions
So
or
somebody
comments.
asked me to explain LifeWave a little bit. So
Right.
that's the patches, and they have to do with light therapy. So they activate copper in your body. And for me, what it's been doing is like kind of anti-aging me because I do feel a lot better, but it's photo light therapy. So what it does is it helps your stem cells work again. Yeah. So it's great stuff.
And
Um,
how do people get that, honey?
I have a link on my website they can go to. Yeah.
Okay.
So honeyseagolden.com.
Yeah,
And it's
and I have to mention that this product that I'm now using, this is C, and I'm also an associate, so I you could call me a salesman for it. But I definitely feel younger
mhm.
and happier. It's affecting my mood, and I understand that it's a very expensive product, and so not a lot of people can afford it. But if you're somebody, and if you're over, especially if you're like 60 or older and you've got some disposable income and you want to feel better, you want to feel younger and be able to recuperate faster from exercise and have better mood, then check out ASEA. And if you become an associate, you could actually make a lot of money doing this, depending on how motivated you are. Um, so yeah, I think I have a link there in the description. But I loved what Elisa said about the med beds that are coming soon too.
Yeah.
That was a great interview, guys. If you haven't seen it, that was just a couple of days ago, right, honey? That came out.
Yeah. Friday. It was on Friday. And it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a fantastical tale that she tells of of time travel and visiting
Mhm.
motherships. And honey, I always say I like to be very scientific and Occam's razor and all this, but I have no problem setting all that aside. When I hear somebody giving me such a great story like that, I have no problem setting aside my left brain and opening up my right brain and being very open to it. I can't say that she didn't have that experience, you know.
Mhm.
And I choose to, this is where I'm going to use the word believe that she did. Um, so it's a great
Yeah, I
story.
believe she did. And it's a beautiful parallel that she was in. And a lot of people are like, why didn't she go into the med bed and get age reversed? And, like, who would believe her if she came back and looked 25? Like,
Well, she would be a different person.
yeah,
She
I
probably wouldn't
mean,
even be able to get an ID or anything, you know?
right. It's not time for that yet.
Yeah.
It's when everybody starts to go that she'll end up doing that. But it was kind of funny. It's like, okay, whatever.
She
But
she was a real hoot. I've never seen her before,
oh,
and
I love her. Yeah, she's wonderful.
yeah, when I was resonating when she told the story about the spiders,
Mhm.
because that's kind of like I had two events here today, and I keep extolling the virtues of having a dog, and let me tell you, this dog has helped me so much. I've got this vinyl covering over my floorboards because I have cracks in my floorboards and pests are coming up through it. But now they're coming up and they're living in this vinyl. Anyways, the other day I'm sitting in my lazy boy and I see my dog is chasing something on the floor. And I can't see very well, so I get down on the ground. I see there's a little hole in the vinyl and baby spiders. Like this is what I say, and
Oh
it reminded me of
no.
that. Baby spiders are coming out of this hole. And thank God my dog alerted me of it. So I was able to seal that hole with some duct tape and hopefully get rid of them all. And then we have centipedes here that get this big, and and they won't kill you, but if you get stung by one of those, you're going to be in a lot of pain. And all of a sudden, once again, my dog went to alert, and my wife was in here with me, and we're like, ah, centipede. That's why my background looks a little bit different. I had to move all my furniture, get a knife, and find it and
Oh
dispatch it.
no.
I don't like killing things, but centipedes in my bedroom are not good. One of those crawls
No.
into bed at night with me, and I'm gonna really freak out. So yeah,
Mhm.
my dog is always protecting me from beasties and pests like that. So thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
All right,
Yeah,
let's wrap this up. I love your background. I love your new office. That's so nice. It just
it's really fun.
must have, looks like
Lots
you
of
got an
turquoise in
old-fashioned
here.
fan. It looks like you have an old-fashioned fan back there. Is
Yeah,
that like an antique fan,
no, I
or is it
just,
made to look antique?
it's made to look antique. Hmm. But it's all original. Like there wasn't a whole lot of damage in here, which was really amazing because it's really old. You
Mm,
know, if you think about it, for a trailer, that's pretty old, but it's in great shape. So I was excited. The outside looks totally like the paint's all worn off and everything, but I don't care.
I love that. I love that rustic look. Okay,
Hmm.
well, I want to thank everybody who joined us here today. I hope you got something out of this and got your questions answered and got some clarity. And I want to encourage people again if to read The Lord of the Rings. If you've never read The Lord of the Rings, and if you saw the movie and thought, "Oh, that's so great," and I love it, you don't really know the story if you haven't read the books. So
It's
and
so
and
good,
uh,
you guys.
and
Yeah.
you'll I think you'll find things in it that will teach you and make you give you better understanding. Anyway. All right, so honey, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go take
Okay.
care of my chores before the blazing. Today's gonna be 106. It's the
Okay.
hottest
Good
day we've
luck
had.
with the heat.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go deal with that, and I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday evening and a wonderful week or 2 weeks until I see you again, honey.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, honey. Thank you, everybody.
Hello. Thanks for having me.